I'm here to explain to you why Worldline joined OSI and how. And we make a lot of IT design and system in high critical system like payment online or health or transportation systems. We have a lot of customers in private or public sectors, and more for a long time already, they ask us to integrate accessibility in their project. They want their solution to be accessible. So we do a lot of things, and within the group Atos, we do even more things. But we have to be humble here. And what we discovered, what we know now, and what I want to explain to you, is always a work in progress. So taking into account accessibility is always a work in progress. I have two main examples in mind to illustrate that point. The first one is how to deal with employees who have accessibility needs. I know two of them. They were both visually impaired. The first one has to leave the company because he thought he couldn't work properly with the tools that were provided to him. So that's a mistake, that's a failure for us. And the second one is big data expert. And he had to go back to management task because the tooling that he was using every day he was not able to deploy and nurture his expertise in big data, which is the same for this guy, and which is the same also for Worldline, because we need today such expertise and such big data scientist experts. So on the employee side, we still have work in progress. We still have room for improvement. And of course, on the IT part, development teams, not all the projects, of course, but I know of several projects where the development teams understood accessibility constraint as a non-functional requirement. And they said, okay, no problem, we'll deal with it. Don't worry. And then when the audit came, they had to rebuild the whole interface, mobile interface, web interface. So they lost time, we lost money, and the customer was not happy. So it looks like everyday story, but that's real story that we had in Worldline. And so we decided to tackle with that. And one of the way to do that is to enter OSI. Now I go on my next slide, if I can. More text, okay. So what, as I said, the first image was a bit scary because it looks like post-apocalyptic image. It's just that everything is not shiny, we still have to work, and we have to stay humble, and it's better to watch and to see reality, so that's how we will be able to deal with it. So it's in four directions. They're called steps on the slide, but it's more parallel stream of action. The first step is to learn and develop awareness, then gather expertise and knowledge, start improving and doing tangible things, and then enter a larger community. First step, of course, what we're learning every day, we have still to be aware about what is going on our project, what is going on our teams. We used several events, internal events into Atos group, like the Global Atos Accessibility, or technical, yearly technical event in Worldline called Tech Forum, where we created a special track on accessibility to raise awareness about accessibility, to identify the people, and to try to tackle with these issues. Which leads me to the step 2, is gather expertise and knowledge. There are a lot of people into Worldline or into Atos on a larger scale that have skills on accessibility, but they're spread all around the organization. So the main objective of this track is to identify the expert first, wherever they are, and then to make them discuss between themselves. So we have people now in the UX studio team, which is a global team, transversal team in Worldline with designers, graphic designers and ergonomists, but also people in R&D, people from consulting with a specialty on accessibility, people from the group. There are things that are done in UK, people from open source, that's me. Hello. Not only me, but I'm part of it. And this transdisciplinary movement is important for us because we have the power, we have the will, but it's spread. So we have to focus and to make converge all those energies. And that's the subject of the track or step number 3, is to start doing real things, to deliver tangible assets. So we launch several POC based on the step 2 and the knowledge and the expertise that we identified. And for instance, this is one very interesting because it's at the core business of Worldline, is the payment terminal. So it's a POC ongoing now. It's called Worldline Here to Pay. So it's to allow people with visually impaired disability to be able to use a payment terminal on another way. And the team involved in those POC are from R&D, of course, but also from the UX team, also from other teams all around the organization. So this point is interesting. But what we can see here, it's we identify the expertise, we make them talk together, we have new ideas, and then we understand that accessibility is part of the innovation of Worldline. So it's not a burden or something that we have to implement and say, okay, I will do it, I don't know, there's another technical difficulties. Now it's seen as a way to innovate. But we have to spread this energy of innovation to diffuse this willingness, this will, let's say, to deal with accessibility in the rest of the enterprise. So that's why the other assets and the other tooling that we created is to change the mindset of the Worldline as a company, to integrate innovation as more than a necessity, as something that we have to build on. So that's why the kind of business-like brochures that were created to raise awareness around those issues, and to avoid the problem I was talking about on the first slide. We launched a large program to teach and learn our development, but not only development, testing, and all teams involved in creating our project to integrate accessibility as part of their everyday job, and avoid to start and let people start building project without knowing anything, or without not knowing they don't know anything about accessibility. That's even worse, they think they know. So we have this learning session, and it's a large program with more and more people following those teaching lessons. And finally, the step 4, because if you summarize what we did before, and I could make a parallel with open source movement. First, you learn, you watch, you understand, then you regroup, you develop, you share, and then you contribute, you build something. And this movement, the third movement, is just the generalization of this open source way of sharing and sharing knowledge and best practices and technical assets in the accessibility world. For us, and for me personally, open source is the best vector to do such things. So we participate in several initiatives. OSI, one of the most, that's why I'm here, thank you again. So we contribute, we share, we discuss with other enterprises who are dealing with the same issues as us, and several brains together will be more smart, intelligent. And we also, I took just one example, which is Kawa. We also contribute technical assets because as an IT company, we develop a lot of things, and particularly now on the open source licenses. Kawa is one of them. It's a markup library who create graphical components that are accessible by design and that can be used to build quickly or quicker accessible UI. What is interesting is the Kawa team is mainly composed of people from the UX studio, so it's not only technical people again. The work and the value of such assets is coming from the fact that it's plural and transdisciplinary, yes, work and teamwork. Thank you.